What's up, folks, and welcome back to the channel and back to the series, the Perception Outlaw 11.5 brought to justice. Here we go. Alright, first things first, goo gun. Lay it on there for a little bit, and the rest of that should come clean pretty quick. Why is this important? Well, if you bought your Outlaw in a retail store such as Dick's or a mom and pop shop somewhere around the country, they probably cleaned it up first and you're not even going to see this. But if you bought it online, there's a good chance that the kayak is coming straight from Perception and will have been sealed up with a green tape that leaves a nasty residue on it. Right off. Beautiful. Just a little piece of plastic that he's using. It's coming right off.
Plastic razor blade.
Yep.
Money.
There we go. Nice. And there you go. A nice, safe, simple way to get rid of that residue. Now let's get on with the modification montage. Get breaker tripped. I have another piece. Okay. Puts it up to that here. Yep.
Alright, buddy.
Sweet. Thanks, man.
When you get done, can you slide it over in front of the car or something?
Yeah, yeah.
That way, because later I'm going to bring Martin's car down and put it in.
Yeah.
In case we get asshole deep snow.
For some reason, this video was pretty difficult to put together. The modifications honestly weren't that bad, but every time I tried to film something screwed up. So that's part of why this is taking so long to put out part 3 here. And par for the course, I recorded this entire video and neglected to hit record. So I gotta do it again. Anyway, let's take a look at what we got. But before we do that, I'd like to thank everybody who's watched and liked the series. I'd like to thank the new subscribers and the old subscribers that have been here for a while. I really appreciate it. Let's get into it. This is the final product of my kayak. Most of the modifications on this kayak we already did on Gary's over here, so we're not going to go through those, and I will instead direct you to the first modification video of his kayak to go over most of those features. In this one, we're going to be focused on cameras, the fish finder, and the trolling motor. So that right there is the first camera mount. I had a couple of questions as to why I put the sounder where I did. This should answer that question. From this angle, for the camera, the sounder doesn't end up in the shot. That's the main reason right there. This here is a Scotty circular mount. It's got a pressure fit nut on the bottom side, so there's no additional holes required other than the hole to get the base of it in. Got a GoPro 10, slide extension, microphone, and that is the PowerPoint. It is a dual 2.1 USB, waterproof lid to it. Rear camera, same type of setup minus the media mod. This one doesn't need to be mic'd. I can fairly easily sync the audio and video between the two cameras. This is a product from SP Gadgets. Unfortunately, it's no longer available, but there are a few still sitting out there on eBay and Amazon. It's a section pole kit. This is a 1 foot section. This is a 2 foot section. And I found that to work really, really well on all my past kayaks. The power for the cameras and the fish finder come from this battery box right here. Back here, there's a it is a 15 amp hour 12 volt gel battery, and I've running both fish finder and cameras all day. I've never run out of power with it. We'll get into the actual battery boxes in a future video. This is the battery setup for the trolling motor. This is a much larger 55 amp hour gel battery. I built the battery with an emergency disconnect here on a leash. So for instance, if the motor is going and I go overboard, that pops up, motor stops. All right, onto the trolling motor itself. The motor is a Newport Vessels Kayak Series with 36 pounds of thrust. It is mounted to a Wilderness Systems universal trolling motor mount, which had to be modified slightly. So this piece right here comes on the metal bracket itself. So as you can see, the standard piece wasn't quite enough. We're almost maxed out at how much you can sandwich this sucker onto the mount. So we used a couple pieces of poly, which are actually just cutting board material. I believe it was 3/8. Cut them, formed them to fit on the inside of the Wilderness mount, screwed them down from the back, and we have proper depth for that motor mount to be totally solid. On the underside of the Wilderness mount, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So as you can see in the modification montage, we used 1 inch by 2 inch aluminum stock as the backing for the bolting of the motor mount itself. As you can see, there's not a whole lot of depth in there. So 1 inch thickness is about as much as you can go for backing and still be able to get nuts on there. There's a good reason for that. The rear handle, the way that it's built right behind it, is super shallow between the bottom and the top here. It's only about yay thick. So you can't use anything thicker than 1 inch, and you can't use a backing plate, so to speak, like a solid plate kind of the same size as the screw hole pattern or slightly larger, because it will not fit through this hole. So we decided to use the 1x2 stock and basically customize the size of the bolts so we have just enough room to get that sucker battened down there. All right, on to transducers. This is the GT20 transducer that comes with the Striker Vivid 4CV. This is not. This is a bit cheaper. This same thing, 77 to 200 kilohertz, but with a narrower beam and without the clear view functions. So why 2 different transducers? On Gary's kayak here, the cubby that is molded out fits the GT20, but just barely. On this one, if we attempted to do that mount the exact same way, it doesn't fit. It bangs against the back and would force the transducer in an angle about like that. So we had planned to build a bottom mount for it, but Gary got a little ambitious one day, went to throw it on his kayak, and it fit. Now, all of our information prior to that was based off of this kayak here, where we knew it would not fit into the threaded screw pack. So this cubby here is actually about 1/8 of an inch smaller in length than this one. And we're gonna get into a little bit more mold differences in a later video. All right, so Gary's went on no problem. But on mine, the GT20 just isn't gonna fit. So we've got this guy, part number is in the description as well. And we even had to mess with this one because Garmin Transducers, when you use the transom mount, they are designed to be mounted vertically and not horizontally. So if this was horizontally mounted flat, the transducer itself would be sitting in a bit of an angle there. So we had to fudge around and get some material toward the front of the transom mount in order to get the transducer to sit horizontally. Now, this guy hasn't been out on a lake yet. It's only been in about 3 feet of water. So we're not absolutely sure how well the transducer is working in that space. We do know on this one, because this has been in a lake, gets a lot of back spatter if I'm in 25 feet of water or less. If I get in 25 feet or more, all the back scatter at every depth goes away. Under 25 feet, it's back scatter through the entire range. So we're going to be revisiting this for sure in the next episode of these builds. So there we go, that's where we stand. In the next episode, we'll be taking these things out on the water and testing everything out. I've got to admit, the backscatter on the transducers is concerning me a little bit. We'll work it out, and as many of you know, I'm located in Maryland. It is March 18th, and the weather can be a little crazy between snow runoff, rain runoff. It can be kind of hard to get in the water at this time of year, but things are actually looking pretty good, so we should have those answers soon. Again, thank you for watching, and we will see you on the next one.